Hey guys, so I'm just going to show you a quick tutorial on how to create and schedule meetings in Zoom. So right now I'm logged in to the account, and where you want to go is schedule. And there's a few different options here. So if it's a one-off appointment, then choose a date and time, and then it will populate in an event in your calendar, and you're good to go, and you can invite your guests and so on. So if it's a date and time, you choose that there. I'm going to put a title in here. So in our case, I'm actually going to choose recurring meeting because this particular one is one that happens on a weekly basis, a couple times a week actually. And so if you have a group that meets regularly, you probably want to have your meeting ID to be the same each time for consistency, and just it's easier that way. But it's not attached to a date and time, and so it prompts you to check recurrence or repeat in your calendar invitation to make sure it doesn't overlap with anything. So your personal meeting ID is attached to your own Zoom account. I'm going to keep this option selected here, generate automatically, so it'll populate its own meeting ID for that particular call. And I'm going to uncheck password in this case. You can choose to have that on. It's an extra layer of security. Obviously, make sure that you share with your guests what the password is. If you're sharing the Zoom ID and the password, they'll need that to get in. If you're not sharing the link and the URL that's associated with the meeting does usually have the password, so you're usually okay there. But it's always good to know what it is, or simplify it even. It's a great security measure to have only the invited people to your meeting. You can choose the video option, audio option. You want to kind of leave both there because some people can call in by phone as well. Why not have both options? And video, I'm going to put the host on. Participants, I'm going to put the participants video on. So you can change those settings, and then you can choose where it's going to populate. I'm just going to go to advanced options for a sec. So enable join before host is helpful so that, if the organizer or if the host isn't there, then people can still log on and wait. So we usually leave that on. And the waiting room is another added security feature, especially if you have a bigger call and you're advertising it, on the internet. You might want to have that security measure in place so that you're enabling people to come into the webinar, or you can uncheck it and then everybody just kind of pops in and out. Now, one thing with this one is if you are presenting and you're doing a presentation and you're the only host, then you have to click to enable people into the meeting. And so that can get challenging when you're presenting. You're not looking at participants and who's in that other room. So depending on what type of meeting you may want to adjust some of these functions. So actually, since we didn't use a password, I'm going to put enable waiting room here. And then mute participants upon entry. For this particular webinar, it is one that gets quite busy, and so can get noisy too. And if you have people popping on later and they don't have a quiet background, you definitely want them to be muted. You can always unmute people. You have that functionality to do that when you're running your meeting as well. And then, you can choose the other options there. So I'm going to schedule. And you can see it goes to connect to my calendar. I'm not going to do that right now. I don't need to. But if we go back to Zoom and we go to meetings, then you'll see here that it was just created. So that's the recurring meeting ID. There's actually two of the same, but that's the recurring meeting ID. So then when you're logged in and you want to go to launch the call, you go and you choose it and start, or from the home screen, even joining with a meeting ID and choosing which call or entering the number in there. Okay, hope that helps.